Hello and welcome to all the ghouls and vampires out there. I'm Joe here from my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
And today we've got a somewhat interesting or boring topic, depends on your point of view, to discuss. The problem of irony in horror, and even the horror comedy as a problem within the genre in a way, not as most people might think. Now, I do like a good horror comedy, but the thing is, we've gotten so into the habit of things either being uber dark, like where the setting has to be dark, it's always clouded over, there's no sunlight, or conversely, just scary moving it the entire way. The problem with irony in a horror film is that it does remove from the feeling of a good horror. For example, The Brides of Dracula had no irony in it. Even the later Hammer Dracula movies and Frankenstein movies didn't have that. A lot of slashers didn't really have any. Like Halloween 4 is one of my favorites. And is there any hint of irony in that movie?
Of course not.
And I'm going to pinpoint when this kind of began. Now, it's Friday the 13th Part 6 had some moments, but it was able to get away with it. But the thing is, I'd say it's around the time of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer that we started really getting steeped in this slop where everything's got to be funny, everything's got to have irony to it. You can't have things be too dramatic. Actually, you can't have any drama in the movie, except if the heroine is basically being a melodramatic jerk. The trouble with horror was that it was originally about the triumph over fear and evil. But since then, we've become saturated in just these comedy horror movies which take nothing serious anymore. I would love them to take it seriously and to have a good horror film. I don't want the characters to go like they're, you have a monster of the week and it's like, is that seriously all you got, hon? Them claws, not doing it for me. This guy's here to kill you. Why are you saying? Now, I think you need a makeover. What is this, Scooby-Doo? Shut up and run! It really gets to me when they're trying to make... when almost every movie is either clouded over or completely and utterly ironic. Actually, I don't even like irony in a film anymore. It bores me to tears. I hate it. I don't need it. Nothing screams slop like irony. Because it's no longer funny. The self-referential stuff. If I was in a horror movie, you idiot, you are in one. But I don't want you commenting on being in one. I don't want you knowing the tropes. I want you to just... I want the characters to not know the tropes and basically just run in blind. Because it's so much more interesting. Now, that said, I do... the last horror comedy I enjoyed was I Think You're the Killer. You remember that one by Shudder? Where the guy is possessed by the sword and he's going around hacking and slashing, and you have Alison Hannigan from How I Met Your Mother just acting over the phone and talking to him through this. I love that movie. It was a great movie. But ever since then, every movie's trying to compete with it to be sloppier and sloppier. That movie was not exactly slop. It was celebrating classical slasher tropes while being funny and self-referential, sure, within the genre. But there's a way to do it, and that was the way you do it. But since then, we need to maybe tone it down and get back to being serious. Deconstructing this genre over and over and over again and just self-referencing is just not fun anymore. It's boring.
I may have enjoyed Scary Movie 1,
Yeah.
but the other ones, it's like,
Number 3 was a little funny. With Charlie Sheen.
yeah.
You just hate me. You just hate me because I'm black. And the guy is whiter than I am. That was fun.
Yeah. But sometimes it got a bit too much and ridiculous.
Yeah, okay, fair.
It's like, I don't mind. Here it is at the beginning of Scary Movie. You have the girl, you have all sorts of weapons. She takes the banana.
Yeah, okay. But we've gone so far down the rabbit hole.
That it's time to get out.
Yeah, and this is why I also bring up another thing. In Halloween 4, Loomis, is he ever made into a figure of fun? No, like the character who says, you're doomed. Okay, Friday the 13th, they kept doing it until they just said, let's just clown at it because this is ridiculous. And I get why Friday the 13th did it. They did it seriously for about 3 or 4 movies. And then they said, okay, we've overdone it a little. But then they made the character who says, we're all doomed, into the lead in Tommy Jarvis with Part 6. And that works. But like, with Loomis, you know, the character who says, or even like Halloween and Halloween 4, I like how he's the one who's like, I spent 6 years trying to understand him. Then I spent the next 10 years trying to keep him from getting out. Give us more characters like that. Give us characters who realize what they're dealing with and say, I'm trying to save you. Don't make them like, you know, like I like Van Helsing type characters. But I've noticed in some movies, yeah, Jeeves, why don't you just... No, kill that character. You know why? I don't want yeah, you know what, Jeeves, why don't you run on home? Like, no. The character who mocks the Helsing character, kill him off. Do it horribly. Because I want the character giving out the warnings to be taken seriously. The Loomis characters are good. I like Loomis. Like, that's the thing. Yeah, he's played by a professional Shakespearean actor, but I appreciated that, you know, like, the gravity with which he carried things. Like, in Halloween 4, when the little girl asks, are we going to die? What is... no, like, I don't think we can get away or something. And how does Loomis react? I don't think so. I think we're going... Yeah, I don't think we're going to make it. No, it's like he's having to tell a little girl, I think we're doomed. And it's only for a second. It's like a very short scene, but you kind of feel for the guy. And I like that. I don't want irony surrounding those characters. And I've seen it in a few movies where they even slapstick the heck out of that kind of mentor character. Don't. Seriously, don't.
There was a time where the guy that was mocking the Loomis type character, he was one of the first people that died.
But now it's like the thing is irony. Maybe we need to remove it for like 17 years from horror so that we can just have serious horror. But not like the gray filter. That's getting annoying too. We'll do an entire horror talks about that. But that's all the time we've got for you all now. So don't forget to check out our crowdfund, which the pre-launch page will be there in the comment section. Never fear. And also our Royal Road account where we're writing Varcola, the finest vampire web novel out there. Or you can check out our horror fantasy novel, Crown of Blood, which is pretty awesome. We also have a Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee, which if you actually want to contribute to us and not the crowdfund, that's fine. We offer up books on those, and we're going to be putting up more books on them in short order, as well as monthly podcasts. And that'll all be up there. You can check that out if you're feeling generous. We're generally going to be keeping the cost low because we're not going to be unreasonable with everyone. Not in this economy, because that's a real horror monster. So, yeah, like and subscribe. We're going to try to make it to the next benchmark. So let's go.